Hi everybody, this is AC and I am going to do my first video blog. Last night I had the opportunity to do the creative spotlight for the NACE, or the National Association of Creative Entrepreneurs, and share a little bit about my process of becoming a writer and a life coach and a blogger. And I thought that instead of me writing down my points for you all in the blog, I would go ahead and just share them in the video blog because frankly, I'm tired. I've reached my limit in my capacity today, and I thought, why not use this as an opportunity to really share with you all what my thought process was. So, like I shared with the ladies and gentlemen last night, when I saw myself growing up about what I was going to be when I grew up, I never thought that I was going to be a writer. I don't know quite what I thought I was going to be. I knew I did not want to be a teacher, but I do know that writing was something I gravitated towards because I always kept a journal, and that's just really how I made sense of the world. And so writing wasn't so much a creative outlet as much as it was what I needed to do just to adjust and to process life. As luck would have it, I've been in education for 15 years, so that whole idea, I'm not going to be a teacher, really obviously is not true. And then what I've learned over the last couple of years is that my idea of what it means to be a teacher and to be an educator and to be an administrator really has morphed into my work as a life coach and helping other women in particular work through their own healing so that they can achieve the things that they do have in life and really live out their dreams in a more authentic way. For those of you all that have been on my blog for a while, you know that my whole mission is about helping you transform your life from the inside out. And that requires us to do that healing work and to go through the process of being more authentic and living with integrity. And that's something that I've just been really embracing over these last couple of years. And that really has been a major motivator in my work and in my writing. So much so that I have had many life changes over this last 2 years. I have been divorced. I've moved from New York to Texas. I have reshifted my work from being a teacher and a consultant and being a school administrator, and my life continues to evolve in ways that I wouldn't have thought they were going to do, or that it was going to do, more than 2 years ago. But it is really falling into place and being exactly what I needed to be, even when I didn't understand what the end was going to be. I've published my first book, so if you haven't gotten a copy of Pieces of Her, go on Amazon and check it out. But more importantly, I really discovered what is important to me and what it means for me to live a life with integrity. And as I do that, then my life just really continues to fall in alignment. So I have 7 tips that I've learned over this process over the last 2 years that I want to share with you that have really helped me to achieve the things that I have so far and to help me continue to be on this path to helping to empower women and to help coach women to just live a more authentic life and to be truly, truly liberated. So the first step is about overcoming fear. One of my really good friends, and you know who you are, gave me this advice when I was in the middle of a breakdown on 135th Street in the Bronx and just at this crossroad in my life about what I wanted to do with my marriage in particular. And I told her how I was afraid and how I felt so much guilt. And she said, AC, fear is not transformative. There's nothing that you can do with fear. It's not going to change your life in any kind of way. So it doesn't make sense for you to hold on to this fear as an excuse for not acting. You can still be fearful, but you still have to do the action. And once I embraced that and realized that, yeah, it's okay to be fear, but fear is just an emotion, it gave me permission to start to take those steps that truly have been important for me over these last few months. The second thing that I've come to realize is that my talent is not an accident. My talent for writing, my talent for mentoring women is not an accident. And in reality, it's the reason why I'm here on this planet, and therefore it's my service. It's not just something that I should keep to myself and something that just becomes my own pleasure, but it's really my service to the world, and that's my gift to the world. So when I choose not to write, or when I choose not to do those things that I'm called to do, I'm really denying the world an opportunity to get to know my service, or get to know me, excuse me. But I'm also not doing my duty to this service or to this talent that's been given to me. So it's more than just a hobby, or more than just something that I like to do for pleasure or to do for my own self-worth. It's really my duty to the world. And so I have a responsibility to carry out my talents and to carry out this place and this purpose that I have. The third thing that has helped me achieve my goal is to be disciplined. Being disciplined simply means that you hold yourself accountable to those goals that you have. Being disciplined doesn't mean meeting someone else's guidelines or meeting someone else's checklist, but instead it means that your actions and your word are aligning to those goals that you say that you have. In reality, if you look at your life right now, your life is already a demonstration of where you're putting your actions and in your words. And I challenge you to think that if your life isn't what you want it to be right now, what words do you need to adjust? What actions do you need to adjust? Because there really is no excuse for why you can't achieve the things that you want if you just become disciplined. And it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be pretty. And it does take sacrifice. But if you continue to remind yourself that, again, what you're doing and what you're called to do is a service and it's your duty to provide this to the world, then this helps you to become more disciplined. One of the things that I've embraced over these last 3 weeks is waking up an hour or so earlier each morning, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, no matter how tired I am, no matter whether I want to or not, and I do the same 3 things. I write my big rocks, and I'll talk a little bit more about what those are in a moment. I pray and I work. Those are my non-negotiables, because if I don't have that discipline, how can I expect to have the results that I want? When I was writing my book, it was truly an act of discipline. It wasn't because I had a lack of ideas or a lack of desire. The only way that I was able to get that book done was to set micro goals for myself every day. I'm going to write 100 words. I'm going to edit 3 pages. And that's truly how I transformed 8 years of procrastinating into a 1-year process of having my book completed. And that really goes to my next point about breaking your goals into milestones and then using that to build accomplishment and build momentum. It's really sometimes daunting when you think about, I want to write this magnus opus, or I want to open up a center for abused children. But if you break those ideas down into milestones that you can achieve, then you can start to check those things off of your list. And there becomes no excuses. And the more that you get to check off your list, then the more accomplished you feel, and the more that encourages you to keep going. So sometimes my goals would be really, really micro, just do one thing a day for my blog. Even if it's tweet a message or change the header, go check out my blog and see how beautiful it looks. Or, respond to an email. Those micro goals have really helped me build momentum. And then I've rewarded myself every week that I get, 5 days of accomplishments done. And my rewards might vary from buying myself some flowers or having a nice glass of wine, or treating myself to dinner, whatever those things are that are important to me. And at the same time, for me, it was important in the beginning to give myself some consequences. So when I was writing my book, I used to have a work BlackBerry that I absolutely could not stand, and I hated it. So I made my consequence that if I didn't meet my certain goals for the week, then I had to stick to using my BlackBerry for work, for everything. So I couldn't get on my iPhone, which I love. Now I've created some consequences, like if I don't do my power hour, as I call it, in the morning, then I'm not allowed to watch Shondaland on Thursday, which any of you all that knows me, that is a non-negotiable. I will miss a concert. I will miss dates with friends. I cannot miss my Thursday night. So that was a motivation for me in the beginning to keep doing this work. But really, truly, as I continue to do it and hold myself accountable, the goal and the reminder that this is my service to life is what truly keeps me going. So yes, I have my glass of wine. Yes, I buy my flowers, but I do this because this is my calling and it's my responsibility to myself and my responsibility to this world to keep doing my work. The second thing that is truly, I'm sorry, it's not the second thing. I'm all off. The 5th thing that has really revamped my work and my process is this idea of putting yourself first. So, or paying yourself first. A lot of times the religious world talks about this as tithing, and people always say, put yourself first. But I will tell you, as a mom, as a worker, as all of these hats that I wear, we sometimes think, how is it possible to pay myself first? I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, or I don't have the time to give to myself, because truly, after 8 o'clock when I put my daughter to bed, I'm exhausted. And there are many nights where I just simply get in the bed with her, or I just don't have any capacity left by the time it's the end of the day to do those things on my list. So for me, paying myself first means giving myself that first hour of the day. Before I give away my time to the job that gives me a salary, before I give my time away to my family or to those other responsibilities, I give that first hour of the day to me. And then truly it's giving my hour to God, because in working out my calling and working out those things, I'm really being in reverence to the talents that God has given me. So I challenge you to put yourself first and to stop the excuses of why you can't get things done, or even to stop trying to say, once I check off all of my other responsibilities and I'll give some time to myself, because truly there will never be time to yourself. Those of you all that have been following my blog know that I talk about big rocks, and this is not a concept that I've invented, but the idea of big rocks is that, if you have a cup and you fill it with sand, and that's all the granular minutia of the day, and then try to put your rocks in at the end, there simply won't be time. There won't be any space left. But if you put those big rocks in first, and those are those things that you want to be remembered for, that should be your legacy when you die, then you put those big rocks in first, and then you put in the minutia around it, your life will contain the big rocks. You will get those things done, and then the minutia will sift itself. So only truly what's important or what can fit, and those that can't. But at least you have a sacrifice what's truly, truly important. I have 7 big rocks that are the things that I want to be remembered for when I'm 132 and I finally transition from this planet. And every single morning I write those same big rocks, and that keeps me centered into what's truly important. And it also helps me to sift through those sometimes when I might feel overwhelmed or not wanting to do certain things. I ask myself, is this task or this activity helping to fulfill my big rocks? And if it's not, then it's simply not that important, or it can wait. The 6th thing, and it reminds me of something that Toni Morrison has said. And if any of you all know me in real life, you know that is my absolute favorite writer. And that's the person who I measure myself against. I will never be Toni Morrison, but at least I can aspire. But when she writes her book, she says that she doesn't always know what's going to happen with the character. She doesn't know what's going to happen with the story. She just writes and creates and lets the story come to her. And so for me, I want to remind my readers and listeners now that you don't have to have the end in sight, whether it's the end of the book or the end of the project or the end of whatever it is. You don't have to have that in sight in order to keep going, to start, because truly it's about the process that's going to get you closer to the life that you want to live. You're never going to be, the work is never done. You will never attain it, whatever it is. But if you keep working the process, then your life will continue to replicate and to bring back to you the things that you want. The universe will provide as much as you're willing to provide. So when you take that one step closer to it, then the universe will provide you all of the abundance that you need in order to keep going. And literally, when I wrote my book, Pieces of Her, I had no idea where the story was going to end up. I had these characters, I had this situation, and I challenged myself with each chapter. What's the most fearful, what's the most scary situation I could put myself through, and let me put my characters through that. And I often gotten the question, did you write Pieces of Her about your life? No, the book came first and then my life came second. In fact, I wrote the book before I was even married, before I had any kids, or a good portion of the book. And it was really kind of eerie how much of it came to fruition. And so my art didn't imitate life imitated art, but it is what kept me going when I gave myself permission of not knowing the answers or knowing it all, and just keep going with the process. And it really has come back to me in more and more abundance. And my last step that I really just tell everybody, you got to get yourself a crew. Remember back, if you ever seen I'm Gonna Get You Suckin', and they said every hero has to have a theme music, every superwoman has to have a crew. And your crew is those women who are like-minded, and by surrounding yourself with people who are just as passionate as you are, who are just as driven as you are, who are on their grind, iron sharpens iron, and that motivates you to become even better. So I think about my crew. I think about BC and Jody, my first writing crew, my Write to Know sisters. And because I had to be accountable to them, it pushed me to be on my grind. And now I think about Coach Gwen, and I think about J Red, and how those women continue to inspire me. And because I'm surrounded by those women who are on their grind and their hustle, it's pushing me to do the same thing. And it just, again, it continues to motivate me. It also helps me to fill in those gaps for the things that I don't know. I don't know a thing about marketing, but I surround myself with people that do, so that I don't have to know it all and I don't have to be it all. I can really rely on those other people that have those skills and expertise. I don't know a lot about web design, but I can go to BC and she can hook me up with, here's this person or here's something that you should consider. And so getting yourself a crew, again, keeps you motivated, and it helps you to build expertise or to leverage other people's expertise in things that you don't know. Side note, in case you didn't notice, I have to do that mama snap and that look. My child was coming here about to interrupt, and we can't have that, not when mama's working. So thank you for participating and listening to my first vlog. I encourage you to share it. Leave your responses below. I will put some resources. And if you haven't been on my blog, you should absolutely know that it is www.ltheoryexperience.com. Yesterday, I wore my power dress to my creative spotlight, and today I'm wearing my power shirt, because I am flawless, just as we all are. And I encourage each of us each day to get liberated and to really take those steps to live the life that you want. Thank you, and I look forward to my next one.